Greetings, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of Genealogy in 3 parts. My name is Susan Court. I live in Arlington, Virginia, and I'm an amateur genealogist. I've been doing genealogy seriously for 7 years, researching and writing about the heritage of my family and the heritage of several friends' families. I am also the author of 9 published articles, with 2 more to be published in the next few months. Genealogy is my avocation, and one that I truly love. It has given me a lot of joy. I hope these presentations on researching, recording, and chronicling your family story will do likewise. Normally I give this presentation in person, but of course that is not feasible under current circumstances. During the in-person presentations, I distribute a handout with materials like sample forms that could be useful to the amateur genealogist, but that do not lend themselves to a PowerPoint presentation. However, I would be happy to send you a package. At the end of this presentation, I will give you my email address, and you may contact me, and I will send it to you. To start, I need to mention that the views stated in this presentation are mine and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the Arlington Office of Senior Programs or any of its officers or staff. Likewise, neither the office nor I endorse a particular service, product, or publication discussed in the presentation. Today's presentation will focus on recording your family's data. The information you have collected by researching in person or online or by using DNA analysis. As I mentioned in the first part, I will conclude this part with a series of exercises to explain more how to research online as well as how to record the information electronically. Let me quickly review what I covered in the first video. After some introductory remarks and dealing with initial challenges, I discussed manual or in-person research that covered reaching out to family members to collect family records and looking for records located in government repositories, libraries, and cemeteries, among other places. To this end, I encourage you to get the lay of the land before you travel to a community. There are many guides, state, national, and wiki, for example, to check first to see what types of records might be available there. I told you about the phenomenal library in Salt Lake City operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the library's local family history centers. Under electronic or online research, I compared and contrasted the big 4 research companies, Ancestry.com, MyHeritage.com, FindMyPast.com, and FamilySearch.org. I also covered related online services like newspapers.com, Google, and the social networks. Finally, I explained how DNA analysis can be used in genealogical research and discussed the major commercial companies, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage DNA, Family DNA, Family Tree DNA, and Living DNA. I also explained how 23andMe, once mainly used by people interested in their medical situations, is expanding more and more into the genealogical area, and conversely, the other DNA companies are now getting into the medical area. Now let's turn to how you keep track of all the data you have collected and will continue to collect about your family. There are 2 main methods, by hand and with software. Most genealogists, as I did, started recording their data by hand. For this purpose, there are many forms you can use. In the handout that I will be happy to share with you, I include many sample forms. Of course, you can always make your own. So on this slide on the left, I've listed the types of forms used most often by genealogists, and I've starred the ones that are considered the most important to get started. On the right side are some of the sources for ready-made forms that you can get off the internet. Last time I checked, the forms on these sites were free, but be sure you read the fine print on permission to use. Sometimes the lawyer in me just has to say things like that. So let's look at some of these forms. Here's an ancestral chart. It's free from Ancestry.com. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this and the other forms as they are self-explanatory. I will give you a few moments just to look at the form. The next slide shows an example of what is called a fan chart. This chart is fun to fill out, but fast forwarding, with software, it can be a really cool chart to display a person's pedigree. This is a family group record, also available from Ancestry. As I mentioned in the first video, I have close to 4,500 entries in my family tree. So while I started by hand, I soon graduated to a software program, a topic to which I will turn momentarily. That does not mean, however, that you cannot handle even this number of entries manually. You do not need software to keep track of your data. Indeed, I have a third cousin, Hans Bruntner, who lives in Hochdorf, Germany, who does just that. He is an engineer by training, which is obvious from his records. This slide shows just a small section of the many sheets he has sent to me. His penmanship is incredible. It's easier to read than some fonts on a word processor. At some point while you are collecting data, you may want to consider using a software program to store, sort, organize, and display the data. On this slide, I list the major features of a genealogy software program. It is not an exhaustive, but rather an illustrative list. Build a family tree. Record information on your ancestors, dates, locations, occupations. Document research sources and link them to your tree. Maintain more than one database for multiple family trees. Print out ancestral charts and reports. Share your family tree with others in print and electronically. Store photos, audio, and video recordings and scans of your ancestors' documents. Protect your information through regular backups. Give you hints on where and how to research for more clues. Export your information to other genealogy programs. Download information directly from certain online resources. Map your ancestors through time. And browse online directly without switching to a separate web browser. Software programs won't wash your windows, but they sure can do a lot, as we will see when we get into the exercises later. So what are the leading software companies for organizing your genealogy data? The ones compared and contrasted on this chart are considered the best ones on the market today. Of course, that could change overnight, but for now, these are considered the top ones. I've tried to note information that would be most critical for choosing one, namely what operating systems they're compatible with, Windows or Mac, which online database companies they integrate with, Ancestry, MyHeritage, Find My Past, FamilySearch, and where you can purchase the programs. Keep in mind the difference between an online research program and a software program to organize your research. You subscribe to the first, like Ancestry, and pay annually for the subscription. You buy the second, like Family Tree Maker, a one-time purchase, although you may need to pay for periodic updates. The following slides and discussions will reflect that I use Family Tree Maker. What I will discuss, however, will be relevant in most part if you use or decide to purchase a different software program. I use Family Tree Maker, abbreviated on the slides as FTM, because I've been using software for over 7 years, and Family Tree Maker was one of the best ones on the market when I got serious about genealogy. It's been updated a couple times since I purchased the original program. At this point, it would be difficult for me to switch to another program. With this caveat, this slide lists the types of data that you can enter into Family Tree Maker. These categories or fields are built into the program, everything from addresses to wills. You just pick and choose which fields you want to use for your research. Moreover, you can create your own categories. I'll give you a few minutes to check out this list. Family Tree Maker, as do all of the other programs, also allows you to create many charts and reports. Most of these charts and reports are self-explanatory. Pedigree charts, descendants reports, family tree. In a moment, I will show you some examples of these and others. Probably the one report that is not commonly known or self-explanatory is the genealogy report called Ahnentafel, which is German for ancestor table. It is a genealogical numbering system for listing a person's direct ancestors in a fixed sequence of ascent. I have created such reports out of curiosity, although I don't use one as a general matter. So let's look at a few of these charts and reports. I'll give you a little bit of time to look at this list. Here is an example of a pedigree chart. That's me on the far upper left. So granted, a one-pager like this is hard to read, but it is possible to print it out and put it together, or even get it printed on a plotter, say at Kinko's, and it will look like, wait for it. This is the same chart blown up on a 24 by 36 inch poster. This slide shows a descendants chart, which can also serve as a family tree. When I charted the descendants of my great-grandfather Joe Schlosser, who has over 730 descendants, the chart was 3 feet high and 46 feet long. At a family reunion, we taped the chart on one wall and then had to kind of stretch the end of it around to the next wall. The two handsome dudes in this photo are two of my nephews standing in front of a portion of the chart. The photo between them is Joe Schlosser's son Albert, my grandfather, and their great-grandfather. Here's an example of a descendants report. This report can capture any information you would like from the data you have recorded in your program. And finally, as an example of a report, is the kinship report. Sometimes it's hard to figure out quickly what your relationship is with another person. Is Jane my second cousin or my second cousin once removed? Is Johnny my third or my fourth cousin? Well, this report will give you the answer quickly. But if you really want to figure it out on your own, the next slide is a cheat sheet to help you out. To start, your ancestors are only the people in your direct line. Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. Your ancestors' siblings are aunts and uncles, and no matter how many greats you add, they are not your ancestors. One of the biggest mistakes made in describing people's relationships is mixing up, say, a second cousin with a second cousin once removed or twice removed. Frequently, people think that a second cousin once removed is a third cousin. This chart will help you figure out the difference. Let me explain it this way. There are a few degrees of relationships with your various cousins to know when it comes to your family tree. First cousins, those who have the same grandparents as you but are not your siblings. Put another way, your first cousin is the child of your aunt or uncle. Second cousins, those who only have the same great-grandparents as you. Put another way, your second cousins are the children of your parents' first cousins. Third cousins, those who only have the same great-great-grandparents as you. Put another way, your third cousins are the children of your parents' second cousins. The term removed is a signifier of how many generations apart you are from that specific cousin. For example, your second cousin twice removed is the grandchild of your second cousin, as they are removed from you by 2 generations. Simple, right? You can see why I love the kinship report on Family Tree Maker. In the first video, I went over the basics of doing genealogical research in person or manually, online or electronically, and using DNA analysis. I discussed the types of records to search for and where they could be found, whether you are visiting repositories like courthouses or libraries, or whether you're using a free online database or subscribing to one of the research companies like Ancestry.com. In this video, I've discussed the ways of recording and organizing the data you've collected through your research, using paper forms and or software programs. To conclude this video, I want to run through a few exercises that combine these basics. The first exercise will start with a family record that is converted to a handmade tree. The information is then entered into a software program, which in turn facilitates further research. So, ready? Here goes. The family record on the left is a page from the Court Family Bible, which is in the hands of my third cousin, George Court, who lives outside of Manchester, England. He is 97 years old and seemingly going strong. One thing I've learned in doing genealogy is that my family is long-lived. I have more than one cousin who lived to be over 100. We converted the information from this page to a handmade tree which was typed. The next step was to enter this information into my Family Tree Maker software program. To that end, I put what I could glean from the Bible into the fields on the right, in particular here information on William Court, my great-great-grandfather. That in turn generated a field on the left, the lower left, and the placement vis-a-vis other ancestors whose information I had already entered, my grandfather Dolph Court and his father Charles Court. Now note what appears next to William Court's name, a green leaf. In the parlance of genealogists, it's called a shaky leaf. Recall that Family Tree Maker software is integrated with two online research databases, Ancestry.com and FamilySearch.org. The shaky leaf is the symbol of ancestry. The tree is the symbol of Family Search. Look at the upper right-hand corner. See the tree and the leaf? After I clicked on the shaky leaf by William's name, a list of possible documents came up. The first one, the 1841 UK census record, looks promising, so I click on it. The result appears here. There is William and his wife Sarah. Now what doesn't show up on this slide is that the record also lists his children whose names and addresses I already knew and which are consistent with this record. That is, everything matches what I have found elsewhere, so I feel confident that this is a record of my great-great-grandfather William Court. At this point, besides entering the information about his occupation in my program, I want to do two things. I want to save the document, not just the information. To do that, I click on Save in the upper right-hand corner of this screen. That in turn brings up this screen where I type in William Court. That gives me a list of William Courts to choose from. There are a lot of William Courts in my family and even more Charles Courts. I picked the right one. There is one very important aspect of this step. A name will show up here that you have recorded in your database only if you have synced your tree before you try to save a document. To do that, you have to go to the Ancestry icon above. I've circled it. And there's a sliver to the right that you have to press in order to sync recently added names with your database. In other words, you have to sync your tree periodically to get a complete list of names to which you can save or attach a record. After choosing the correct William Court, I get this screen and I press Save. That shows me what I'm saving, so I hit Save to your tree. And now this is what my William Court record looks like with the 1841 UK census saved. But I think maybe it would be nice to have a hard copy of the record too. Now I usually don't do this if I have an electronic copy because I fear my apartment will sink into the next floor if I collect too much paper. But anyway, just for the sake of this exercise, let's say I want a hard copy. To that end, I do not click on print. in the upper right-hand corner. That function does not work for printing documents. It will work, for example, to print a chart or report, but not to print a document. To print a document, it is necessary to go to the tools symbol on the right. You see the little, it's like a wrench and maybe it's a hammer. It's very small. And that will give you this screen. You select print and you have a hard copy of the document. Let me try another example of this exercise. By way of background, in 2003, my brother-in-law gave me a very large suitcase filled with my late sister's genealogy work. It was not organized in any fashion, just a huge, and I mean huge, pile of paper. So from this pile of paper, I was able to scrape together enough data to start an entry for my great-grandfather, Joe Schlosser. And I got a shaky leaf. See it up there next to his name and his picture? A shaky leaf. Which took me to a list of documents. I picked the 1860 census. Note there's also a family tree in this list of records. I always go to the documents first. The family trees may give me a document or may lead me to a good document, but I'm very suspicious of other people's research. So family trees, as I mentioned earlier, there's an expression called tree rot in the genealogy circles. So you basically want to look at the records first. So when I hit the 1860 census, that brought up this information. My great-grandparents, who were married, by the way, in early 1860. Again, I want to save the documents, so I have to make sure I have recently synced my program with Ancestry.com so that Joe Schlosser's name would appear on the drop-down list, and then I can go through the same process that I went through for William Court. I want to mention here, needless to say, I never use an ancestor surname as a security question for, say, a credit card company. No one should do that, even if they don't do genealogy. It's too easy for an identity thief to figure out surnames of parents, grandparents, and so forth and so on. Before going to the next exercise, I just want to mention that Ancestry and FamilySearch both send updates periodically, triggered by some research that I may have been conducting. So it's nice. Periodically I'll get these hints, like, here's another hint for you, Susan. Exercise number 2 will follow a similar path as the first one, starting with a family record or data and entry into a database. But the next step will involve doing research online separately from a software program that is integrated with the online program. So this time I'm going to start with the data put together by my friend Jerry Coyne's family. This has been collected by various descendants of the Irish immigrant Thomas Coyne, who the family believed came from County Galway. My focus here is on his son John, who is my friend's great-grandfather. The first thing I did was enter the information received from the family into my database. For this purpose, I had to create a new tree. That is, a tree different from my own family's tree. So here's a screenshot of the Family Tree Makers page on John Coyne. What's missing? The shaky leaf. Now, of course, that could mean that there were no records in the Ancestry.com database associated with John Coyne. In light of what I know about the family, that would seem impossible. The reason that there was no shaky leaf, that is, no connection to Ancestry.com or, for that matter, FamilySearch.org, is that I did not upload this tree onto Ancestry. I have, however, uploaded my family tree to Ancestry. Why? Frankly, to get the shortcut research tool of the shaky leaf. I'm going to repeat that. I had to upload my family tree to Ancestry.com in order to get the shortcut research tool of the shaky leaf. That was not the case a few years ago when Ancestry was first started, but since the last upgrade to Ancestry.com, that has been the requirement. However, my tree is completely private. Even though I've uploaded it on Ancestry, I've put all the privacy controls on it, and it is visible only to me. This does not mean, by the way, that you cannot conduct research from the software. It just requires an extra step. So check out, and I've circled it, check out the web search on the top. Clicking on web search takes me to this screen. By hitting search, I get this screen comes up with a list of documents for John Coyne. You'll see that the name is spelled differently, and that's one of the challenges that we face in genealogy is different spellings of the same surname. So we get a whole list of documents. We click on that, and it takes us to this screen and another whole set of documents. So again, you don't have to upload your family tree onto the Ancestry platform, but if you don't get the shaky leaf, which is a shortcut. But even if you don't use the shortcut of the shaky leaf, you can do it just by hitting web search. And now I have a document to continue adding to my database on behalf of my friend. I've noted here the genealogist MustHave Tool, a magnifying glass, as you can see when you get records like this one. Let me add that you can do this direct research on Ancestry.com without the use of software. The software just simplifies saving the documents. It eliminates another step. So a shaky leaf to me is like one-stop shopping. Software connected to Ancestry is a two-step process, and using Ancestry.com without software is a three-step process. That concludes part 2 of genealogy in 3 parts. If you have any questions about this presentation, feel free to email me at the address noted here, susanjcourt@gmail.com. In the third and final video, I will explain the many ways you can chronicle your family story. Thank you.